It's hard to believe, but Genesis was only launched as a standalone luxury car brand 9 years ago, but my, how far they've come. It wasn't until this model, the GV80, was launched in 2020 that sales really started to take off. Despite being in the middle of a global pandemic, the biggest headline for the GV80 was Tiger Woods' infamous rollover crash right before the Genesis Invitational. This accident, though shocking and unfortunate for Woods himself, cemented Genesis as a beacon of safety in the eyes of golf fans everywhere. Woods is still able to play the sport that got him famous, and it's possible that the GV80 is the sole reason those headlines weren't a lot darker. Fast forward to today, and the GV80 is heading to dealerships with its first mid-cycle refresh. The 2025 model year brings softer edges to its design, updated tech on the inside, a new coupe body style, a new electronically supercharged variant of the twin-turbo V6, new colors, and new wheels. Speaking of dealerships, Genesis is finally making strides in that department, with new locations continuing to open across the country, at least 35 at this point. One of the latest being Genesis of Atlanta. This right here is what a Genesis customer expects. Clean, modern, easy on the eyes, easy on the nose. The more standalone dealerships like this that they can bring to life, the better. Lexus did the same thing when it was liberated from Toyota, and I have no doubt that Genesis will reap the same rewards in the coming years. Back to the GV80. As you can see from the side profile, they didn't change much because this is just a mid-cycle refresh and it already looked really good. The lower fascia has a new design which I think looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit more elegant, and all lighting remains LED standard. But new for this year is micro lens array technology in those DRLs for better lighting performance and more flexibility in the design. There are new wheel designs, but they maintain the same design for the base 19-inch units, which I think was a huge mistake. And on the back side, the only thing that really changed was a re-sculpted lower fascia that now hides the rear muffler and mimics the grille design and the Genesis logo. And I maintain that they didn't really need to change much here because this design was penned by Audi and Bentley designers. What more could you want? The interior of the GV80 was arguably one of its strongest suits going into 2025. Getting inside using the digital key feature is now enabled on iOS devices, and once you are inside, you'll notice that they've traded individuality for trendiness with this new 27-inch OLED display. The graphics are crisp, and they've even gotten rid of the kind of odd 3D feature they had in the old instrument clusters. Luckily, Genesis actually took advantage of the single display by allowing the native map system to bleed over into the instrument cluster side of things. If you like the interior of the new Lincoln Nautilus but find the upper screen to be a little bit overkill, you might like this screen a little bit more. Luckily, the tactile feel, color and trim, and overall ambiance still make for a far more sumptuous cabin than anything with the H or Kin logos. Yes, some Hyundai and Kia models get this as an option too, but this fingerprint sensor is now standard on all GV80s. It enables quicker access to driver profiles if you do share your car, and it prevents strangers from accessing your settings and connections. We also have this new steering wheel design, which looks far better than the old two-spoke design, and there's also a new Bang & Olufsen premium audio system which replaces the old Lexicon system. This one is more powerful and has 10 steps of surround sound profiles, plus B&O's Biosonic tone controls. One thing Genesis does better than most of its competitors is color and trim. Though this year's exterior palette isn't very vibrant, they weren't afraid to offer blue or even green interiors once again. Sure, you can also have brown, white, or black, but this is the kind of creative flexibility that people who buy luxury cars desire. Heck, all car shoppers want that, but at these prices, manufacturers are shooting themselves in the foot if they're lacking in this area. Rear seat occupants are still pampered in the best of ways. The top 3.5T Prestige trims like this one get heated and ventilated power adjustable outboard seats, pillows, vanity mirrors, and power soft closed doors. Yes, a third row seat is still available, but just like last year, it's only available on the 3.5T Advanced trim. That is one step below this top Prestige. Under the hood of the GV80 SUV is your choice of two carryover engines, a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine and a 3.5-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder. You have 300 horsepower in the 4-cylinder and 375 in the 6-cylinder, but all-wheel drive is now standard, just like with the GV70. If you want a rear-wheel drive Genesis crossover, you'll have to go with the all-electric GV60. These engines are both paired to an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission with a standard self-leveling rear independent suspension and pre-wiring for towing. If you go for the new coupe body style, you have only one engine choice, the electronically supercharged version of the 3.5 twin-turbo V6. This engine is already available in the G90 flagship sedan, and the specs should be pretty similar. In that car, it makes 409 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. We unfortunately aren't here to drive that body style with that engine. We're here to drive this one, the top 3.5 twin-turbo V6 Prestige model, which has the road-sensing suspension, which will adjust the dampers to prepare for what is coming up ahead on the surface of the road. Because the engine didn't really see many changes this year, acceleration and braking feel very much exactly like the 2024 models. That means if you leave it in the comfort mode, it's a little bit slow to respond to your right foot, but put it in sport and it is pretty darn quick. The sound isn't too loud, there's a lot of sound deadening on this interior, it does feel very luxurious. Handling wise, though things are well controlled, if you push the GV80 a little too hard, you will definitely feel some body roll, but this is again a car that is meant to coddle you. And while the ride quality is appropriately premium and very smooth, the roads that we got to drive this on were a little bit more gritty in terms of the quality of the asphalt, so the noise on the inside, though pretty impressive, wasn't quite as hushed as I was expecting. But if you're driving on fresher asphalt or pavement, you will definitely notice the soundproofing. This thing is like a bank vault. When it comes to active safety features, the GV80 is pretty fully loaded at the base price of around $59,000, but if you want any sort of level 2 hands-free driving, unfortunately, Hyundai, Kia, nor Genesis have any sort of feature in the US just yet. Luckily, their level 1 Highway Drive Assist 2 feature is very advanced and very confidence-inspiring. Yes, you have to keep your hands on the wheel and eyes on the road at all time, but the lane keeping assist, the adaptive cruise, all of it works really well together to give you an experience that feels almost like a semi-autonomous system. Now with all of that in mind, let's talk about competition. I'm already going to go ahead and narrow down the top 2 competitors to the BMW X5 and the Mercedes-Benz GLE. Both of these have coupified versions in the form of the X6 and the GLE Coupe. Both are rear-wheel drive biased 2-row SUVs with 3rd-row jump seats, and both of these can be had in plug-in hybrid models and V8 models. No, the Genesis is offered with neither of those things. There really isn't quite a competitor to those models in the Genesis lineup just yet, but there is a new Magma sub-brand coming that will compete with those higher performance models like the AMGs and the M's at BMW. It's very unlikely that the GV80 SUV will receive that treatment, but we're pretty confident based on the concepts we've seen so far that the GV80 Coupe will get the Magma treatment. If you want rear-wheel drive, the X5 is actually now the only game in town because the other 2 options do not offer rear-wheel drive anymore. All 3 of these cars do have strong suits. I believe that the Genesis has the best color options and the best interior design, with an infotainment system that is simple and easy to use despite having a very large display to work with. When you hop out of the GLE or the X5, you get into the Genesis and you think, wow, everything in here is just easy to use. You might think it looks overwhelming at first, but once you actually play around with it, it is far easier to get settled into this car compared to the GLE with the MBUX system or the X5 with the BMW iDrive system. If that's something that concerns you about those models, then I really think you should check out the Genesis. It's just a simpler experience, but one that is just as luxurious as the others. Want to fully load your GV80? Well, then you're looking at the right one. This is that 3.5T Prestige model. With Destination, this one comes in at $80,650. But it has everything you could possibly want. It's the quietest GV80 because it has the active noise cancellation. It's also probably the better handling because it has the electronic limited slip differential in the rear. And it's also the most luxurious because it throws in things like an electronic limited slip differential, the 22-inch alloy wheels, the Nappa leather seating, the microfiber suede headliner, which really makes a great statement, the power second row seats, the ventilated second row seats, and the heated front console armrest. Overall, the GV80 is a unique choice in this segment. It doesn't give you quite the bandwidth that some of its competitors do, but what it does really, really well.